Hello everybody. Welcome back to another Culips live stream. I am your host Andrew, and it is fantastic to be here with you today. And I would like to start off the stream the way that I always start off the stream, and that is by asking all of you wonderful viewers if you could tell me if you can see me and if you can hear me. So if the video is okay, if the audio is okay, then I would love it if you could type a comment in the chat and let me know. And once that is out of the way, then I don't have to stress about video or audio issues, and we can move on with the live stream. So I can see a couple of comments here, which is great. As always, I love it when you guys participate a lot and share a lot of comments with me. That really helps the stream flow, gives us something to talk about, and it's also great to interact with you all at the same time. We can have as close to a conversation as possible, right? It's not necessarily a real conversation, but it's as close as possible for now. So let's see, Franz was first with the confirmation. Franz said, "Hi Andrew, everything is okay." So thank you very much, Franz, for confirming. And now I don't have to stress about audio and video, which is awesome. You know, we've been doing these streams now for well over a year, but it always stresses me out. I always have this fear that something is going to go wrong. So it's good to know that everything is working okay. Awesome. So I can see that there are a lot of comments here, everybody. That's great. What we're going to do tonight, or today, it's always weird doing the stream because I know we have a worldwide audience. So for some people, it's the morning time, but for me, it's night. So if I say what we're going to do tonight, just please be aware it's because I am in the evening time in my time zone. But the plan here for this stream is that we are going to talk about the topic of how to study English with Culips, how to learn English with Culips. And I think I know a little bit about this, but also you guys are experts about this as well. And there are so many different ways that we can learn with Culips, so many different techniques and study methods. So we're going to have a conversation about that tonight. I'm going to share some of my thoughts and opinions, but most importantly, I hope that you guys will share some of your tips, some of your study methods, some of your study routines, what your study habits look like. All of these things I want us to share with each other because, at least in my opinion, and I don't know about you, but in my opinion, hearing about other people's language learning journeys is really, really interesting and also very inspiring. Like, I love hearing stories about people who have achieved a good level of fluency in the language that they're learning and kind of picking apart their study methods. Like, well, what did they do? You know, how many hours did they spend studying? What kind of things did they do while they were studying? And so that is really the plan for tonight. And I hope that you guys will help me out by participating a lot and sharing your opinions, not only in the chat, because of course you can leave as many comments as you would like in the chat, and I'll try to keep up with that. I'll try to go through the chat as we're doing the stream tonight. But also I'm going to open the stream to calls. So if you want to call in and if you want to talk with me directly and share your study methods with the Culips community who's watching right now, that's an option as well. And if you recall last month, if you were here last month for the stream, I believe we had 4 Culips members call in and talk with me. So that would be great if many people would call in tonight as well. You'll notice that I'm alone. My trusty sidekick, Cassie, is not with me today. And the reason for that is that she is on vacation. Actually, it is her spring break at her school. So she is traveling right now. She's on vacation. So we miss Cassie. I wish she was here with me, but we'll have to do the best with just me for this month's stream, at least. All right, I'm going to go through a couple of the comments here just quickly, and we can see. I'm going to just give a shout out to everybody who joined. We got June. June, wow. Wow, yes, wow. Shunyi, maybe I say hi. Hi, Shunyi. Thank you for joining us tonight. We've got Min. Min says hi. Hello, Min. Thank you for joining us. And who else do we have? We have KRYS. Hi, thank you for joining us, KRYS. Katrin. Katrin is here in the live stream. Hello, Katrin. Thank you for confirming that everything is okay. Yes, I'm alone tonight, as I just mentioned. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to disappoint you. It's only me this evening. Pigeon, T. Great. Hi, or hi, Andrew. Everything is okay. Fantastic. We have Mohammed here this evening. Great. Wow. Hi from Belgrade, Andrew. Amazing. Okay. Hello. Hello from Seoul. Sammy is here this evening. Hello, Andrew. How are you? Thank you for asking, Sammy. I am doing pretty well. I had a long day today, and as I mentioned earlier, it's the evening now. It's 8 p.m. in the evening here in Korea, so I am a little bit tired. I hope I don't look too tired, and I hope I don't come across as too tired either, but to be perfectly honest with you, I'm a little bit tired. It's kind of hard to work all day and then come home and do a live stream, to be honest. But I'm gonna do the best I can this evening to have a fun and enjoyable live stream with everybody. How's it going with you, Sammy? Are you doing okay? How was your day? Hello, everyone. It's my first time to participate in the live stream, says Terujo. Okay, well, hey, welcome. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you will enjoy this stream. Pepe is here as well. Hi, everybody. Hi, Pepe. Thank you for joining us. Good to have you here. China Boy says hello. Hi. Hi, China Boy. Oh, we have a favorite of the stream, Kareem. Kareem is back again for another month. Kareem, hello. And I'm doing well. Kareem, how are you? We have Monica from Brazil. Hello, Monica. How are you? Welcome to the stream. I'm sure it's early morning for you in Brazil there. Another, what could I say? I don't want to say classic member, but returning member. Jazz Haru has joined us for many streams, so it's great to have Jazz Haru back here again. I'm seeing lots of return members here. This is great. We have Chennai Chang from India, from Chennai in India. Great, amazing. Thank you for joining us. Okay, I think we're all caught up with the comments, so that is great. And thank you for listening to the podcast, Katrin. I appreciate it. So everyone, I have a warm-up question for you actually before we get into our main topic. And let me just put the warm-up question on the screen. Where did it go? The warm-up question is, what app do you use to listen to Culips? What app do you use to listen to Culips? So I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but the way that a podcast works is that we create the podcast, right? So my team and I here at Culips, we record the podcast, we produce it, and then when it's ready for upload, we upload it to our website. And the audio file is, of course, available on our website. But what's cool with podcasting is that once you upload it, there's a thing called an RSS feed. And that RSS feed can be added to any different podcast application. So you can add it to Apple Podcasts, you can add it to Spotify, you can add it to Castbox, and there are so many different podcast applications out there. I actually use one. I wanted to check my phone. I don't know if you saw, I was looking for my phone, but I realized I'm using my phone for my camera, so I can't check right now. But I use a different podcast app that unfortunately I can't remember the name at the moment. But anyways, I'm curious about you. What kind of application do you use for listening to Culips, or do you listen to us on our website? I think that's a great option as well, especially for Culips members, because you can study with the transcript directly on our website. So yeah, I'm just curious, and if you want to quickly answer in the comments and let me know, that would be super helpful. I'm trying to remember, what is the app that I use? I can't remember. Pod something. I should have written it down before I asked you this question. That would have been smart thinking in retrospect. Nick says, generally, I use Spotify. Sometimes I listen to your podcast using the official website. Okay, cool, Nick. Yeah, I use Spotify as well. And sometimes I listen to podcasts on Spotify as well. June has a question. Andrew, I have a question. Who the couple you dealt with in the chance encounter? Mote solo. So June, I don't know if I should say the couple's name. I don't think they're a couple anymore. And actually, to be honest with you, I can't even remember what their names were. The show that they're from is called 나는 Solo. And so that's a popular show. I think maybe not as popular anymore as it was in the past, but I still watch it. It's good Korean language practice for me. It's on Netflix, and my wife and I saw one of the couples from that show when we were out for coffee a couple of months ago. So we both watched that show, so it was kind of fun to see that couple in real life. But on that show, actually, all of the people that appear, they all have nicknames. They don't use their real names. So I'm not exactly, I can't remember what their nicknames were or what their real names are. Sorry, I can't be any more specific than that. Let's see here. Yuko in Japan. I usually listen to the podcast through Amazon or on Amazon through my smartphone while houseworking or taking a walk around. Okay, nice. So while doing some house chores or walking around, I forgot that Amazon is available in Japan. It's not, I mean, it's available here in Korea, but it's really not popular at all. I think the only people that I know that use Amazon are other Americans that I know that live in Korea. But that's cool. I forgot even that Amazon has a podcast service. I guess they have lots of music and movies, don't they? Amazon Prime? Yeah, I guess because I'm not in a place where that's popular, I forgot that it was even a service. I use Spotify mostly, says Shunyi. Sometimes I use the Culips website if I want to check the transcript. Yeah, okay, cool. Monica, I use my iPhone to listen to your podcast. Okay, iPhone, nice. Pigeon, I use both the website and Apple Podcasts. Great. Mohammed says Apple Podcasts. I wonder, it would be cool if I could do a poll I wonder if that's a feature to do a poll. We could see like a graph come in of how everybody listens to it. I think it's worth checking out different podcast apps because each one has some different features. And I guess it would depend on your English level as well. But I know for me personally, when I listen to English podcasts, often I will speed up the speed. So I won't listen to it at regular speed. I'll actually speed it up to 1.25 speed or 1.5 speed, or sometimes even 2 times speed, because it's my native language and I can speed things up and still understand it perfectly. I do that for some episodes where the conversation is interesting but not really too deep or too difficult, because if it's about a difficult topic, then I find that I can't absorb, I can't understand the difficult information if it's going too fast. Also, if it's a comedy podcast, I don't like to have the speed too quickly, going too quickly, because then I feel like the comedic timing is different and maybe the jokes aren't as funny at 2 times speed. But for regular podcasts, yeah, sometimes I speed it up, and that's a cool feature that's in my podcast app. And I think these days most podcast apps will have that. But some other apps have like playlists. You can make playlists, and there's different features and functions. So that's why I am really curious about what you guys use and if there are any special features in the podcast app that you use in particular. Okay, so yeah, thank you all for answering. I won't go through everybody's answer, but I will definitely check them later on because it's cool information to know. I'm happy to see that many people are using the website, not only your podcast app. Of course, since we are a podcast, it's totally fine for you to use your podcast application. And I suggest and highly recommend that you do. But at the same time, we do put a lot of work into the website. So it's nice that some people use the website as well to study with it. And I think especially for the study guide and the interactive transcripts, that's where the website is really the best for listening to the podcast. So with that out of the way, I think we should jump in and get started with our main topic for tonight, which is, let me put my graphic up here. Our main topic is like this. What's your Culips study routine? What's your Culips study routine? So I am really excited for this, everyone. I can't wait to hear what you answer. I can't wait to hear about how you study with Culips. You know, I'm a language learner myself. I study the Korean language, and I think I've been studying for a long time now. I don't know exactly, but probably like 8 years I've been learning Korean. And, you know, I always thought at the start of my journey, like, you know, after 5 years, I'm going to be amazing at this language. And now that I'm around the 8 year mark, I realize that language learning is a lifelong pursuit. And I think no matter how good you are, you're always going to feel like there's something that you can do better, something that you can improve upon. And for me, with my Korean language, there are still many things that I want to improve upon. Sometimes I feel pretty proud of myself and like I'm okay at Korean, not bad at Korean. And then other days I feel like, oh my God, my Korean's terrible. I need to study harder. And I think like probably many of you feel that way with English as well. Sometimes we have highs and we're feeling really good and really confident. And then sometimes, you know, maybe we hear, or like watching a TV show and the speaker speaks really quickly or uses a different kind of vocabulary than we're used to, and we feel a little bit disheartened and discouraged about that. That's natural. And I think the same holds true for some of our study routines and study methods as well. Sometimes in our life, we have more free time and we can spend more time studying and learning our second language, you guys English, me Korean. And then sometimes in our life, we get really busy and things are more difficult, and it's hard to find time to invest and spend with the language. For me, right now, to be really honest with you, I'm in one of these periods with my Korean study. Lately, I haven't been able to find as much time as I would like to practice Korean, to spend time with Korean. And so that's really frustrating for me. But it's a natural part, I think, of being an adult. Being an adult who has a full time job and full time life responsibilities, sometimes, unfortunately, we have to put our language learning to the side. But the important thing is to never give up and to just, you know, keep being patient, and hopefully life will return back to a period where it's not as busy and we can spend more time with the language. So there's these ups and downs in language learning, right? And I feel like I'm maybe at one of these low points right now, but that's okay. I think I'll be able to ramp up and increase my time spent with Korean more in the near future. Of course, I'm kind of lucky that I do live in Korea. So even if I don't have time to spend studying the way I want, the Korean language is still all around me. I can still speak with my wife. I can still turn on the TV and watch Korean content really easily. So even in these some of these like low periods where I'm maybe not doing as much as I would like, it's still out there for me, which is good. But this is not about me today. This is about you guys and your English study routines and habits. And so I would love if you could, well, there are two ways that I would like you to interact with me. You have two options, okay? To interact with me and to interact with the community, because we're all here together, right? So the first way, the most exciting way, is to call in and talk with me directly and introduce your study routines and study methods directly. And if you would like to do that, all you have to do is follow this link. Okay, so you can join the conversation and come onto the stream here with me and talk with me directly. Okay, if you want to do that, you have to just follow this link, and actually I'll paste it into the chat so that it is easier for you. So you can follow that link, come and speak with me. That would be awesome. And I hope many people do that. If you do call and I don't answer right away, maybe it's because I'm talking with another member. So if I don't answer right away, please don't think that I'm ignoring you. It's probably just because I'm busy with another member. So that's the first way. But if for some reason you don't want to call in or you feel uncomfortable about being on the stream, I totally understand that. That's totally fine. In that case, please just communicate through the chat, and I'll try my best to respond to as many chat messages as I can. Okay, and we have a caller coming in. June is calling. Let's see if we can bring him onto the stream. I have to put my big ugly headphones on. No, my big ugly headphones. Or else I won't be able to hear. Oh, we lost him. We lost June. June, if you want to call back again, sorry. I was too slow putting my headphones on. I missed your call. But if you want to call back, please do. And I'm going to go through some of these comments. Let me try and catch up with the comments here. Oh, okay. We have another call here. Nick. Let's see if I can bring. How do I do this here? Okay, add right. Maybe. Hello, Nick. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Andrew. Hello.
Hi, how
Can
are
you hear
you?
me?
I can hear you.
Well,
Great.
okay, great. No, I'm doing well. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Nick,
It's,
where
it's
are you from?
I'm from Belgrade. you know.
Belgrade. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
Serbia. There's a country. The country's name is Serbia. Yes, Belgrade is the capital of Serbia. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you for joining and thank you for calling in. Oh, I think I think we lost Nick. Nick, are you still
Oh,
there?
our connection is interrupting, Andrew.
Yeah, I know. We're a little laggy.
Yeah,
Can
yeah,
you hear
yeah.
me
I'm
now?
still here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll just have to battle through. We'll try our
Yep.
best to have
Yep.
a good.
Definitely.
So, Nick, the topic for tonight is your study method, study routine. Do you want to tell us about your study habits?
Yeah, I can do it. Yeah. So
Awesome.
it's it's complicated question. I mean that so my speaking skills is not very good from my point of view. So but I will try to share with our listeners about my habits to study. Yeah, for studying.
Sure.
So I'm trying to use Culips every day. So it's my daily routine. I'm trying to use it, in order to increase up the level of my listening skills. So I do it every day while I'm I'm walking to the grocery store, for example. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
when I'm walking, so strolling around my house, and so the areas. So it's really a helpful and useful tool to to sink in, yeah, to sink in studying English, because I think that you can use simple English. I
Mm-hmm.
mean that uh, you you can describe, you can tell which I think it's really cool, and at the same time you use complex phrases and collocations that can be very useful in daily dialects, when, for example, by using Culips, nowadays I can say that I'm able to keep talking with my friends who know English better than me.
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know so and I think that my speaking skills at the same time is increasing day by day by means of Culips. So well, to be honest, it's really complicated to talk in English, especially.
Oh, you're doing
So I'm
awesome.
sorry for my mistakes.
No, 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 no. You're
Okay.
doing
Oh,
awesome.
okay,
And,
great.
I think
Great.
it was going back to what I just was talking about a moment ago, where sometimes we get down on ourselves and we feel like, oh, there's always so much better that we can do, right? But you said, oh, my English is not very good, but I'm actually really impressed. I think your English sounds very understandable and very fast and fluent. So I wouldn't be so hard on yourself. I think you're doing a great job.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Thank you very much. Yeah. So,
So then Nick, just to summarize, it sounds like most of your time that you spend with Culips is just listening as opposed to doing any other kind of technique.
uh, as from my point of view, so I can say that my passive vocabulary is very wide.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand almost everything that
Mm-hmm.
you can imply in your podcast. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not supposed to follow the transcripts, because your voice is great. Your voice, your pronunciation is great, and so it's very understandable for me.
Mm.
But at the same time, sometimes I can find very interesting for me, and of course, well, I can stop podcast. Yeah, I try to write out this collocation, and so
Mm.
afterwards, of course, I can try to how to say, to memorize them. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, but while I'm walking for a walk, of course, I don't have a notebook with me, so
Right.
I should stop podcasts, and I try to write out in my smartphone these collocations. Yeah. So, but yes, the main the main tool how I use your podcast is listening. I mean, yeah. So I
Listening.
use Culips to increase up, to boost up, the listening, my listening. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Nick, I am really appreciative of you calling in and sharing your study routines with us. And I think you're doing an awesome job. So I wish you good luck with your English learning journey. And thanks again. I'm going to let you go because we have a little connection issue, but I think you're going to really inspire a lot of our viewers here tonight with your awesome English. So thank you so much.
Well, well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Andrew. So,
Take care. Bye bye.
yeah, yeah, bye bye.
Okay, fantastic. So that was Nick from Belgrade. And that was exactly what I wanted to have on the stream. I wanted to have some Culips listeners who could be really inspiring and motivating for the whole community. And I think everybody can agree that his English was amazing, right? Weren't you like blown away? Wow. Good job, Nick. Very good. So, just to summarize what Nick said, then, he's spending most of his time listening to Culips as he's going around through his daily life, going for walks, and just listening again and again. And then he said that if he notices some kind of interesting vocabulary or collocations, and that's a really big word that maybe some of our listeners don't know. So, let me explain collocations. Collocations essentially is like a group of words that go with each other. So sometimes there are expressions or certain nouns always go with a certain verb, and sometimes those can be surprising, those combinations of words. And understanding which words go together in a group, once you understand that, it can really make your English sound more natural. So it sounds like almost like Nick is keeping his ears open for these unique, interesting collocations that native speakers use and taking note of them, right? He said he would make a note in his notebook or on his smartphone, pause and write them down. And I think that's fantastic. That's what really can go a long way in making your English sound natural is noticing those collocations. And because if you start using them in your own speaking, then you are going to sound like a native speaker because you're speaking the way that a native speaker does. You're thinking the way that a native speaker does. So, awesome way to start off the discussion here with Nick. So, thank you again, Nick, for calling in. And our lines are open now. So, if anybody else would like to phone in, feel free to do that. And if not, it's okay. We're going to go through the chat. Maybe some people feel slightly intimidated when we have a very fluent, high level speaker right off the start from the show. But guys, don't worry. We're all here together. We're all learning. And you don't have to feel nervous or intimidated about that. Oh, we have June calling back here. Okay, I'm ready to answer now. So let's see if we can bring June onto the podcast.
Hello, Andrew.
Hi, June. Can you hear
Hi.
me?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. How are you doing?
It's going pretty well. How about you?
I'm a little bit tired, June, but I'm okay.
Yeah, thank you.
June,
It's
where are
good
you
to see
calling
you in
from?
this the live streaming. Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
are you are my the English teacher in the podcast. Yeah,
Yeah, well, I
yeah,
guess technically you are one of my students then, right, June? So, yeah,
yeah,
it's nice to talk with you.
yeah.
Uh,
Me too. Yeah.
June, are you from Korea?
Yes, I lived in the South Korea
Hmm.
in Gwangju City.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
In the southern part?
yeah. Far from Seoul. Yeah,
Ah, okay. Awesome.
almost 3 hours
Yeah.
riding a bus. Yeah,
I've been there before. I'm familiar.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah, yeah,
So, June, our topic for tonight is
yeah.
studying with Culips. And I
Yeah,
would love it if you could share what your study routine and your study habits are like.
I'm trying to follow your the recommendation.
Hmm.
Peop- you always told the all podcast members
Hmm.
before the episode.
Hmm.
Yeah. At first, I'm trying to listen to
Hmm.
your episode 4 times or five times, and
Okay.
then check the transcript
Mm-hmm.
to figure out I don't understanding word and the sentence,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm trying to find the word and a sentence
Mm-hmm.
and translating to my the mother tongue.
Mm, okay.
Yeah, and then trying to memorize the sentences that
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's my the usually the English the learning daily life.
Your
Yeah,
daily life for English
yeah,
learning. So, listening to each episode several times, not just once, but listening again, again, again.
yeah,
And then after listening many times, checking the transcript and to see like, did I understand everything, or are there some parts that I
yeah,
didn't understand? And then kind of focusing on the parts that you didn't understand to make a note of the vocabulary or the expressions that you didn't understand originally.
yes, right. Yeah,
Wow. Okay. Well, you study
yeah.
very hard.
But actually, to be honest, I'm a company man,
Okay.
so I don't have enough time to study English. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so if I have time, I'm trying to listen your. Actually, on my way to work, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I I I like to listen the Park Clips episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice. Yeah, I think a lot of our community feels the same way. And
yeah,
honestly, I feel the same way in my life too. It's like we're busy, we have to work, it's one of those
yeah,
facts of life, right? It's kind of unfortunate, but it's true that we have busy lifestyles. And because of that, sometimes we don't have enough spare time really to do kind of these intense study methods, right?
yeah,
Listening is actually beautiful because we can multitask, right? We can drive our car and listen, or we can clean our house and listen. So that's
yeah,
kind of nice because we can do two things at the same time. But other kinds of study methods, like going deep into the transcript and really looking at the vocabulary, making practice sentences, writing or recording a blog after we study with the episode, all of those things require more time, and that can be difficult. But I
yeah,
think you're doing the important thing, right? You're trying to listen as much as
yeah,
possible, and really that does go a long way. So even if you're
yeah,
having a busy life, just doing the listening at least is a great step.
yeah. Thank you. I think so. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Well, June, thank you so much for calling in. It was very nice to meet you. I'm going to end the
yeah.
call now so we can get to some other members, but good luck with your future English studies as well.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening. Thank you. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, amazing. Great. So thank you so much for June for calling in as well. I love this. This is like the most fun thing for me is to actually get to speak with some Culips listeners. It's really weird always just doing audio and recording all of the Culips episodes and then releasing them into the world. But then I realized there's actual real people that listen, and sometimes they call into the live stream too, and I can talk with them directly. So fantastic, amazing. So the lines are back open. If anybody else would like to call in, I haven't been reading the chat as I've been talking here. I've been focused on the conversation. So let's try and go back. I see there are many comments that I missed here and some questions. Oh, I love this. English marathoner. For people who don't speak Korean, the username says English marathoner. And I like running. I like marathons. So this is a nice nice username for me. Okay. The comment says, "Hi, I'm working and listening to this live stream right now. For me, I've been uploading my recitation of Culips scripts almost every day except for a busy day." Amazing. So, yeah, I think actually I have seen your channel. If you are the same person that emailed me before. So if you emailed me before, I have seen this before, this YouTube channel. And this user, I hope it's the right person that I'm thinking of, but this Culips member is amazing. She makes videos of herself studying, and it's really, really cool to see all the effort she puts into studying very deeply with Culips episodes. We have a new caller here. Karam is calling. Let's see if we can get Karam on the podcast. Let me do this. Hello? Can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi. Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Is it Karam?
Yeah, it's Karam.
Karam. Okay.
Yeah.
Karam, where are you from?
I'm from Korea.
You're from Korea. Okay.
It's really nervous. It's
You're
been
really
years
nervous?
that I speak in English. So,
Ah, well, your English sounds great. So
yeah.
just relax. It's okay. We're just sharing with the community here. So thank you for calling in, Karam. And I'm very, very curious about your English study routine, your study methods. Do you think you could
Uh,
share a little bit about that with us?
yeah. Um, First of all, this year I decided to study English really hard, so
Mhm.
I subscribe your membership. This was my
Thank
first
you.
thing
Thank you.
for this year's resolution. And during my vacation time, I studied really hard with your episodes.
Mhm.
So at the time, I wrote down your sentences. I mean,
Oh,
what
really?
you're saying in English,
Okay.
and I tried to wrote in blank sheet
Okay.
and feel what I missed when I
Ah,
listened it again.
okay.
And it was great. So um, I could, I, I, I could find out what I don't know, like the 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 name of the town you are from.
Hmm.
The one was really difficult for me
Difficult
to
to
find.
find. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's okay because my hometown, which is Kelowna, by the way, is that's actually not an English word. That is a word that is from the language of the First Nations people who are originally from that
uh,
area. So
okay.
yeah, you get a pass on that one. That's okay.
Yeah. So that was really helpful for me to study English. But these days, I was really busy with my work, and
Hmm.
there was a technical issue with my iPad. So
Mm.
that is a good excuse, right? So
Yeah, very good excuse. Yeah.
I could not study English these days, but today I fixed it. So
Oh, congratulations.
yeah, so I think it's a very good timing for me because I couldn't um, I couldn't study English for a long time, but for this live streaming and I mean the speaking in the air itself. I mean I took a lot of courage because I'm very introvert person, so
Mm.
I think this chance would be a good chance for me to yeah study English again.
Awesome. Well,
Sorry. Yes.
you're doing fantastic. You don't have to apologize. Your English sounds really good, actually, and I understand how you feel because I'm also an introverted person and I have to do the podcast and the live stream. It's a little bit challenging, but it's good. We have lots of friendly people in our community, so I think everybody is welcoming here. I wanted to give you one vocabulary word, and not just to you, but also with everybody that's watching. Let me see if I can. Can I type this? Okay, so one is a verb and one is a noun. Let me just put that up here. So you said that your way of studying is to have like a blank sheet of paper and then to listen and write down that action of listening to some audio and writing it down is the verb is to transcribe. So you could say, I transcribe the podcast, just like we have the transcript, right? The transcript is the noun, it's the thing where you can see the words that are spoken. So the action of doing that, that kind of study method is called transcribe. And sometimes if you take a class at a school, foreign language class, the teacher will say, oh, it's time for dictation. And dictation is kind of the same thing. It's that exercise that people do in a classroom where the teacher will read something and the students have to write it down. And I think it's a great way to study, especially for the reason that you mentioned, was that when you're doing that activity, you really notice what you understand and what you don't understand, right? If you understand something, then you can write it down without any problems. But suddenly you hit a word like my hometown, Kelowna, and you're like, oh my God, what is that word? I can't hear it. I don't know. And then I think that's really, really powerful at showing you what you don't know. And then you can go deeper into that, right? So I've done this before with my Korean listening as well, like listening to a TV show and trying to write down what I hear. And yeah, it can really help you focus on the gaps in your knowledge, I think. So thank you for sharing about that, because that's a really great study technique that I think some people kind of overlook, or they don't think it's too important, but it's actually a really nice thing to do.
Thank you.
So, Karam, I will let you go, but thank you so much for calling in. Have a wonderful evening and good luck with your future English studies as well.
Thank you so much, Andrew.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye. All right, awesome. That was Karam. Cool. So yeah, I really like how everybody has a kind of different study method, right? We've heard from 3 different people, and I guess really at the center of everybody's study lifestyle is listening, right? But that makes sense because we're an audio podcast. So of course, listening is going to be one of the main focuses. But apart from that, everybody has their own kind of different method that they use. And when people ask me, what's the best way to study with Culips, I have some recommendations, and I think June talked about some of those recommendations earlier. You can find those on our website. If you go to the tutorial section of our website, there's a video that I made about that. But what I really recommend is to find your own way. Find the study technique that you find enjoyable and that fits with your lifestyle. If you're like a really busy person, maybe it's harder to do some intensive study and you have to just do what you can, right? We have to try our best with what we can do. But find what works best for you, what you enjoy, and then do that. Because you don't want to be studying, doing something that you dread or that's boring or annoying, because that will just demotivate you and you won't want to keep going. So you got to find something that works for you specifically. I'm going to go through some of the messages here, and just to let you know, everyone, the lines are open again. So if you would like to call in, that's possible. And I'm probably going to stay online for about another 10 minutes or so. It looks like we're almost at the hour mark already. I have to eat dinner. But let's do another 10 minutes here. So I'm going to go through some of the chat. Yuko wrote, at first I listened to one program, so I think maybe one Culips episode, around and around, so maybe again and again. Excellent. And then check the key expressions on the website, and I make an effort to memorize new words or idioms, but it's hard to do now due to my age, at age 57. Well, Yuko, I think that's a great study method. That sounds really great. And very, like, you're studying hard, studying really intensively with our material. So I'm happy to hear that. And I think you'll get good results from studying the way that you're studying. I don't know about your age age 57. It's not too old. I don't know. I'm 38 and I sometimes feel like I'm too old to remember vocabulary though. So as we do age, it does get a little bit harder and harder, but I think yeah, it's okay. You're not that old to not be able to memorize new information. Let's see. Turujo says, I listened to Culips on the way back home and checked the transcript and some words that I didn't know at home. Okay, amazing. So, yeah, I think this is what I really recommend for most people is, I mean, it depends on your level. If you feel like you're sort of a low intermediate level, maybe high beginner level, then actually following along with the transcript as you listen can be a nice study technique. But once you get to intermediate level, high intermediate level, even into the advanced level, then I actually recommend doing the opposite and just listening first and then checking the transcript after. I think that is more effective. So, sounds like you're doing exactly that, which is great. And Pijon says, when Culips has a new episode, I listen to it every Monday and Friday. It takes about 2 to 3 hours for each episode. Great. So that, if a Culips episode is what, 20 minutes long or 30 minutes long, that means you're listening to them quite a few times again and again, which I really, really recommend. I think repetitive listening like that, listening never just once, but always several times, can really go a long way in helping us boost our English listening skills, even though sometimes it can be boring. And I feel bad sometimes that you guys have to listen to my stories again and again and again. They're not too interesting, but I do appreciate everyone who listens to me speak so much. So, Pijon has another question here. I also have a question. The speaking speed in your episode is slower than native speaker speed, right? So if I use the speed 1.2, it'll be similar to native speakers. It's hard to say, Pijon. I mean, there's not like one exact speed that native speakers speak at. It depends what episode series you listen to. In general, real talk and simplified speech, we do try to speak slightly slower. So I don't want to speak unnaturally slow, but slightly slower than we usually do. And for our more advanced episode types like Chatterbox and Catchword, then I try to speak at my regular speaking speed. And sometimes people say, oh, Andrew, you're speaking too slow. Native speakers don't speak that slow. But this is my natural speaking speed, like I'm talking right now. I think even when I'm with my friends, I speak like this. So, like I said, though, there is some variation, and probably in your native language as well. You know, some people who speak slower and some people who are speed talkers. And so there's a lot of variety. And I think even on Culips, you can hear that variety. My co-hosts like Anna and Suzanne, they tend to speak really fast. And Cassie speaks a little bit slower than them, and maybe I speak the slowest, but we're all speaking naturally and all speaking like we would in our everyday lives for the most part. If you do find that it's too slow, of course, feel free to pump up the speed, and doing that can only make you a stronger listener. Like if you're listening at 1.25 or 1.5 speed, probably what you'll find is then afterwards, if you go back to regular speed, it will seem super slow. Like I've done that before as well. You like listen to content sped up, and then when you put it back to regular speed, it seems super slow. And that just means that your listening skills are improving, and that's a good thing. So feel free to experiment with the speed of the audio. Absolutely. Let's see. here is a nice technique here. After you listen to episodes several times, if you have a chance to rephrase the story with your own vocabulary, it would be really helpful. I do this with my English. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, let me just see. Before I started the stream tonight, I prepared just some quick tips for you. Maybe actually we'll finish the stream up with sharing my tips. Why don't we do that? I could go on and share tip after tip after tip. This is a topic that I'm really passionate about, and I've got lots to say about it, but I'll try and keep it quick, and I'll just share some study tips that I have, that I've learned from my years as an English teacher and a language learner that I recommend to all Culips listeners. And this is one of the tips, but I think it's a little bit later on. So first tip, which many of you have talked about tonight, is always be listening. Okay, ABL, always be listening. So as I mentioned earlier, I think I talked about this with June, is that it's amazing. We can listen these days. We can get, Bluetooth headphones and wireless headphones, and we can just be listening all the time while we're driving our car. Maybe you don't want to use your Bluetooth headphones while you're driving your car, but you can use your stereo in your car. While you're out for a walk, while you're doing your house chores, while you're shopping, while you're walking the dog, etc., etc. We can always be listening, and making a habit of listening to English content regularly every day is going to be just a fantastic way to improve your English listening skills, but also to fit English study into a busy lifestyle. So that's my first tip. Always be listening to English. And if you get bored of listening to my voice, then you can always search for other English content too. That is okay. I won't be offended. There are many, many, many good English podcasts and shows and music. You have unlimited options pretty much these days. Okay, the next tip that I wanted to talk about was checking the transcript. And we've mentioned that on the stream as well, how it's great to listen first. And then when you do find something that you don't understand, or even afterwards, if you feel like you did understand everything. Okay, sometimes you can feel like, oh, I understood that 100%. And then you can go back and read the transcript. Sometimes you don't even need to listen while you check the transcript. You can just read through the transcript. Sometimes you'll notice things that you missed. Like, our brains are weird that way. Sometimes we can sort of skip over things if it's too fast or if it was unfamiliar to us. And so actually checking the transcript and reading the transcript without the audio can also be really helpful for helping us notice the things that we missed. And if we missed it, there's a reason why we missed it, right? Why did we miss it? Because we don't know it, or it's new to us, or it's unfamiliar to us. So that can help you, like, oh, I found something new that I didn't know, and I thought I knew it. Like, my brain just skipped over it. So to focus in on those parts that we don't know can help us so that it is noticeable the next time that you hear it, or the next time you see it while you're watching a TV show. So checking the transcript can be great for finding those gaps in our understanding. The third tip that I have is summarize. And our comment, the last comment that we looked at, was talking about this, right? So you listen to an episode and then summarize. What was the episode about? What did we talk about in that episode? Try to repeat and summarize what you just listened to in your own words using your own vocabulary. And there are different ways you could do this. You could write a diary entry. You could use your phone to record a video or do an audio note and just speak to your phone. You could even just do it in your head, right? Like, sometimes we don't have enough time to sit down and write a diary entry. Sometimes we don't have enough time to make an audio blog with our phone. But even just doing that self-talk, talking to yourself, if you want to do that out loud, that's awesome. But if that's embarrassing, even just doing it in your head, what would you say? What would you write? I think is helpful and still helpful. So doing some kind of summary in your own words after you listen to an episode is a really great study technique. And that's something that you could do almost while you're walking around or while you're doing the dishes or cooking dinner, right? Is you can have that self dialogue in your head with yourself. Tip number 4. I've got 9 tips, by the way. 9 tips. Tip number 4 is the study guide. So in the study guide, of course, it's not just the transcript, but there are the vocabulary explanations and examples. There are the quizzes. There are the prompts that you can use for speaking practice or writing practice, not listening practice really, speaking or writing practice. So there's a lot of good content in the study guide. And we spend a lot of time making the study guide, actually. Like, there's a reason why we only have one new Culips episode each week. And it's not because the podcast, the audio podcast, takes a long time to make. It's because the study guide takes a long time to make. And so we put a lot of effort into making the guide, and it's made by really great English teachers. And they're going through the podcast and doing all of that difficult work for you, finding the interesting expressions and selecting what they think will really help your English become more natural and improve. So definitely don't ignore the study guide. As a member, that's one of the big benefits you get. And so reading through the guides, at least at a minimum, reading through the guide is something that I highly suggest you do for the episodes that you study with. Tip number 5. Tip number 5 is something that I do in my own language study, and that is I make flashcards. I use a program called Anki, and I make flashcards from the new vocabulary that I see in my life. If I'm watching a TV show, listening to a podcast, reading a book, and I come across a new word, I try and add it to Anki. I make a digital flashcard, and then I review those regularly as well. And it's just a way to keep new vocabulary in mind so that you don't forget it. And I don't think you want to spend too much time reviewing flashcards every day, but just quickly to notice again the vocabulary that you thought was interesting, thought was worthwhile to learn, adding that to a flashcard so that you can remind yourself. And the idea is that eventually in the future, you're going to see that word again while you're listening to a podcast, while you're reading a book. Okay, that vocabulary is going to come up. And the idea is the next time that it comes up, you're going to recognize it and know what it means in that moment. So definitely making vocabulary flashcards for the new vocabulary is something that I highly recommend, but don't go crazy with it. Personally, I don't do any more than 5 new words per day, because if you do more than 5 words per day, it's just going to be overwhelming and you're going to spend too much time with that activity, and that time could be better spent actually listening to English or reading in English. But yeah, maybe 5 words or expressions a day is a good number. Tip number 6 is joining a language exchange or study group. And actually, we've got some plans. We're working on plans behind the scenes here at Culips where we're going to try and make this really easy for you in the near future. And actually, we are hoping to launch in April, but we had a couple of technical setbacks with this. So I'm a little bit depressed and disappointed with that, but I think we can fix the technical issues. We've got some plans in place to make studying with a group really, really easy for Culips members in the near future. So I think everybody who wants to, that's a Culips member, will be able to do this soon, and I'm gonna hopefully be able to share details about that in the future. But yeah, study groups, they're coming soon to Culips. Don't worry. if you are interested in improving your accent, one of the best things, in my opinion, that you can do is shadowing or listening and repeating. If you're not really interested in improving your accent, then I wouldn't spend too much time with shadowing. But for those of you who feel like, oh, my fluency is pretty good, my vocabulary is pretty good, but my accent is so-so, then shadowing or listening and repeating can be fantastic, especially if you go deep into shadowing and you record yourself while you're doing it, and then you compare your audio file to the content that you're shadowing. So for example, if you're shadowing with like a Fluency Files episode, you'd be comparing your voice to my voice. And if you line up the two audio files, maybe by using your computer, or yeah, you could probably even do that on your smartphone as well. I'm not sure, but there's probably that technology. Then you can compare the two. And that is really helpful for noticing where your pronunciation problems are. And from that, you can start to practice those areas and improve those areas. And sometimes, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but I've had this with Korean. I feel like my pronunciation is not too bad. And then I listen to a recording of myself and my mind is blown by how bad it sounds compared to what I thought I sounded like. So it can be really humbling and also really helpful for showing us where our weaknesses are. Because once you know about your pronunciation weaknesses, then you can do something to solve the problem. But if you don't notice those weaknesses, then it's hard to know where to start. So shadowing can be great for pronunciation improvement, especially. Tip number 8, and I mean, I think you all know this. I don't really have to talk about this tip for too long. It's stay consistent, right? And I know, easier said than done. I'm not even perfect with this. Like I said, these days, I'm not studying Korean as much as I would like, but that's just life. And the important thing is to not quit and just try to recover as soon as possible and get your study schedule back to normal as soon as possible. But to always be doing something, right? Even on busy days where you can't really go deep with your studies, at least try to do some listening or maybe read a short article or something. And if you're consistently doing something every day, then eventually you're going to see results for sure. My final tip before I sign off for the evening is enjoy other English media too. Enjoy other English media too. Like I said, there are so many other good podcasts. There are amazing English TV shows. There are fantastic English movies, English music, articles online that you can read. And you don't want to burn yourself out by only learning with Culips. Not to say that that's wrong. If you're like into just studying with Culips, that's your content, you want to do that, no problem. But I think instead of burning out, it's better to use a variety of content to learn with so that you can always stay interested, right? And I think this is helpful for motivation and also for consistency. So, sometimes if you're like getting tired of listening to a Culips episode that you've listened to 20 times, it's okay. You can listen to something else. You can watch an English TV show. The important thing is that you're always spending time with English. It doesn't really matter what the source of the English is. Although I do have to say I am very appreciative of everybody who studies and listens with Culips, of course. But I did want to let you know that as well, that you can enjoy English media aside from Culips. It's okay. You can do that as well. So guys, those are the 9 tips that I prepared before starting the stream. So I think you've got lots of good ideas. We heard from members of the community. You heard from me about what my tips were. And I hope you found that helpful. And I hope you found that motivating and inspiring. I know I'm going to take a lot of motivation away from this conversation that I had with all of you tonight. So I thank you all for participating. It was so good to hang out with you here for the last hour and change. But as I said, it's dinner time. So I'm going to log off and go eat some dinner and then retire for the evening. But don't worry, we'll be back next month. Actually, you know what? We'll probably be back this month because technically this live stream is the March live stream. I know we're in early April here. I had a busy schedule last week and I couldn't fit the live stream into the last week of March. So we had to push it forward here to early April. But that means we still have to do an April live stream. So I'm going to try and do the April live stream here towards the end of the month. So that's the good news. We'll be back in a little while, in a few weeks for the end of April live stream. And let's brainstorm an interesting topic for next month. If you have a topic that you would like to talk about, leave a comment in the chat and I will go through them and we'll find an interesting topic for next month's discussion and live stream. And I'll try and make an announcement about what it is as soon as possible so that we can all prepare and think about the topic in advance. And yeah, this was fun, everyone. So let's do it again at the end of April. Okay, so I'm going to go. Thank you and take care. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye.